If you think the only way to advance as a software engineer is to become a manager today in your current career, trust me, you don't really need to be a manager these days. Leadership is built through influence and owning problems. That's number one. Now, let me explain. So, the difference between a leader in a space versus a manager is that a manager manages people. They figure out one on ones with their team. They figure out whether they got the tools that they need to be productive, whether they could take time off, any issues that come up that's related to HR. Being a leader in the space, you just solve problems, or you understand what those problems are and you solve them and you provide solutions and you get everybody on board with that solution. Okay, so it's not about just managing people. You're actually mentoring and influencing others to go with a particular solution or just helping out in general. So you could be a junior dev right now that influences others to do the right thing or to use a new tool or to do something that the team hasn't done before and now is included in the standard. Anybody could be a leader at any point in time in their career as an engineer, but it's just all about whether you want to accept it or not and whether you're ready for that responsibility. What engineering leadership actually means is that you're thinking about outcomes. You're not really thinking about just solving a bug or building out a feature anymore. You're thinking about the outcomes of the code that you're generating. What is the business, right? What are some of the issues that you're seeing in your engineering team that you can solve? And your manager might know about this already, but they need someone to step up and actually research what the problem is and do and create a solution for it. That's huge in itself. And not a lot of people want to take that responsibility because they're afraid to fail. They just don't have the time or the bandwidth to figure out a solution and actually research the problem. They're just too busy and they don't have, like I said, the bandwidth to do all that stuff. But if you're able to manage your time in an effective way and actually understand what that problem is and propose what the solution is to everybody else and you get buy-in on that, that builds credibility. Not just managing people. Like today, I don't manage people, but I'm really good at figuring out solutions to a problem that is at a business sense, right? So if it's affecting other areas of the business and no one else wants to do it, I'll step up and try to understand exactly what's going on, figure it out, create a proposal, get buy-in from everybody else. If it's cross-team functional to where other teams are impacted, make sure that they understand what the potential solution could be and just get buy-in on that. And that saves me a lot of time. That gives me a lot of credibility for spending the time to research things. And it shows that I know what I'm doing. And then also people will reach out to you more because they see the work that you're putting in and they're like, yo, like you actually know what you're talking about. Like I can learn from you, you know what I'm saying? So don't shy away from those challenges. A lot of developers, what they do is like, they just want to code, get things done, and that's it. And I'm not knocking that. But if you're looking to level up in your career, is actually take ownership of problems that people don't want to do. If you want to get promoted a lot faster, pick a problem that comes up all the time. And if you're able to like spend time researching it and then bring it up to the team, like, hey, this is tech that I'm seeing multiple times, and this is the solution that I'm going to be presenting to you guys. If you guys are cool with it, great. If not, go back to the drawing board. We'll get buy-in from other people, and then we'll continue to iterate. But at least you are showing that you care about what the problem is and that you're not shying away from a challenge. Being an authority figure, you would think like that's leadership. Like you're telling people what to do. But if you're able to influence others to use a new tool that you've been researching for a while, understanding what the problem is that is causing a lot of issues for other people and what your solution is for that, documenting what that potential solution is and teaching others on what you know, that's influence. That builds authority and credibility. So if you don't shy away from that, you will do fine in a leadership role. And that just comes with repetition. Like anybody could be a leader if they spend the time to learn that skill. You know, you got to be in those certain situations to where you're uncomfortable to certain problems and you're tasked with trying to figure out the solution for it. And now you have to be in those rooms where people are talking different ways, and now you have to translate something technically that might not make sense to them, but make it simple. You have to put the reps in that way. So that's the only way you're going to build an influence without having that authority where you need to point the finger at other people to do that job. Taking the lead on technical decision making. If you have this problem that you're trying to solve, don't wait for everybody else to chime in on it. Create a proposal, create a solution that could solve the problem and actually make it better for other iterations of projects that are down the line in the future that could use what you've built to then create a standard for how the system architecture should be. If you're able to do that, that in itself is a big way to influence others. And then also the people that are higher up will see like you're actually putting in the work, right? That you're actually not just working hard, but you're thinking in terms of systems, like what makes the most sense. Like you understand the architecture, so you're able to provide a better solution that adheres to the current system that could make the architecture a lot better. Okay. If you're able to do that and make the decisions technically without waiting for the CTO, the tech lead, managers, different managers from different departments to make a decision, and you at least get the ball rolling on what you want to do to solve this problem, they'll probably just go with your solution because you already did all the work. You researched the problem and you understand the system so much, you're able to implement this in a more effective way. They'll just rely on you to get that job done. And you're probably going to get promoted because it shows that you're able to explain what the problem is, why do we have that problem, what the solution is, and how it could potentially help with the overall architecture of your project. So if you're able to get the right people to look at your proposal and understand exactly what's going on, and they agree on it, and maybe they give you some feedback on certain things that you need to change and not a complete failure, you're good. And mentoring as a junior dev, you're not really going to be mentoring that much. Senior and tech lead and all these other higher positions, yes. But if you're doing peer reviews on code, right? You could provide good feedback on the code that was written by a dev and explain why you shouldn't implement it this way. Either it doesn't follow our standard and it's just something that is obsolete at this point or something like that. If that's the case and you're able to explain that in a well-mannered way, it's going to help you with other devs coming to you for help because you're able to help them understand their flaws. And everybody makes mistakes, right? Like everybody's wrote bad code and learned from those mistakes and got better over time. If you're able to spot check that and find it quick and provide good feedback, a lot of people are going to come to you for help. So if you're able to do that, get a confidence boost from that and actually build a reputation that you understand the code a lot better. And speaking of mentorships, if you need a mentor with code review, just understanding exactly what you want to do in tech, if you're trying to figure out what your first project should be and how you should understand the fundamentals, you could reach out to me. There's a link in the description where you could actually schedule a one-on-one with me. And if there's something that you want to talk about, just don't hesitate to book 15 minutes with me. If you want to work together, then, we can schedule another one-on-one to go through whatever you need to go through. Another thing that leaders do in engineering, and I've been doing this as a senior too, is owning ambiguous problems. Whatever problems come up that people keep seeing over and over again and things keep breaking over and over again, you're going to get tired of that. So instead of just sitting there letting it happen, why not just take ownership and try to figure out what the solution is? That's the easiest way to get some credibility right there, to build your leadership skills. I've done this so many times with different projects. And I was like, if you guys can't figure it out, I'll figure it out. I'll create the proposal. And the way I look at it is I'm learning more than the average person that just doesn't want to do it. Like I actually reframe my mindset to actually get to do this. And this is going to help me in the long run. I'll be able to use this skill to do something that is more large scale. So if you think about it in that way, instead of like, oh, this is so mundane, I don't want to do this, to actually get to do this and learn something in the process, you're going to be more infatuated with actually solving that problem. And you're going to be more enthusiastic about just showing everybody that you have a solution to the problem and what you implemented. Now, I'm not saying to own every single problem, but if it's something that no one wants to handle because it's too complex, then just take it. Take a challenge and try to figure it out. Get the right people involved so that you could then scale and make it better. The common misconception about being a leader, and I definitely went down this path before, is just talking, right? Just being the loudest and the smartest in the room. That doesn't matter. Especially if you're in a room with engineers, they'll let you know quick whether what you're saying actually makes sense or it doesn't. For me personally, there was sometimes like I'll be talking about a problem that I really didn't know that well, and you could tell if you're just talking and you're just saying a bunch of stuff. People are going to be like, yo, what are you talking about? So if you're able to understand a problem and talk about it in the simplest way to where you could break down what that problem is and create actionable steps to where it generates a solution, that is going to show that you know what you're talking about. And this is going to show for every single person that is technical and non-technical. And this is a skill that you have to learn. If you're able to rewrite that from technical to simple to where they understand exactly what the problem is, why we have it, and what the solution is, that skill in itself will help you with anything. My biggest misconception was, okay, if I'm the smartest and if I'm able to talk about these certain things, that, you know, I'll get credibility that way, but that's not the case. If you're able to explain things in the most simplest way to where anybody can understand it, your grandma, your uncle, your aunts, if they can understand what you're saying, and you're teaching them along the way, you did a good job. And the last thing is, you know, how do you grow into this role? It's hard to explain that because everybody is different. One thing I would say is if you're ready to grow, then it will happen. Don't rush that process. You got to put in the reps. You got to put in the hours of, you know, not knowing the solution to a problem, being frustrated that you don't know, researching things and trying things, failing, learning from those failures and reapplying to get better. You'll know when the things that you used to do became easy and now you want to look for the next challenge that's going to level you up. And then you're going to have to change the way you go about solving these new problems. Instead of thinking about how can I solve this task, what I would reframe you to do is actually think about what the problem is and then break that down into smaller pieces so that you could create actionable steps to then create a solution. And then once you understand what that is, have a written proposal to then bring to whoever's attention that this is what we're going to be implementing. And the way that you explain this and pitch this will obviously open up the floor to questions, answers, reiterations, and improvements. But at least you have the right people in the room. At least you have something concrete. And people are going to look at that and be like, yo, like this guy actually knows what he's talking about, or this girl knows what she's doing. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you're going to grow. Not just sitting there and just thinking like, have all this pressure because I want to sound perfect all the time. And then the more you have that mindset to be perfect, the more it's going to come out a jumble mess. So the more you're able to think within systems on how to convey this information, the easier it will be for you to grow. It's as simple as that. You know what I'm saying? And by me saying that it's simple, you would think, okay, well, I can figure this out. But honestly, it's going to take some time. To grow as a leader, you have to put in the reps, you have to put in the work to do that. And you have to create systems that make it easier for you to spend less time on the problem itself and actually start taking action and creating that solution to make things easier. So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know if you're trying to transition into becoming a leader in the space, and you know, what are the steps that you're taking? Are you taking the steps that I talked about today? Or is there anything that I missed that you would like to share with us? Like I said, if you need a mentor, if you need someone to help you with code review, understanding what the projects that you're working on, and you know, whether you're on the right track in tech, schedule a one-on-one with me, 15 minutes, man. That's all it takes to change your life. 15 minutes. And we could talk and I could see where you're coming from and give you some game. All right? We'll talk soon.